A 2-point win in game number 300 for Sydney coach John Longmire. They sit just one game outside the top 8 as the business end of the season gets very interesting.
Yeah, it was a terrific win. You know, we've had a couple of close ones go against us, so it was good when the siren went. It was 10 seconds to go, I think, with that stoppage over the other side there, and you know, we found a way. It was it was fantastic. The boys were terrific, which was great.
It was one that sort of could have gone both ways in that last quarter. What do you think it was that got you guys over the line?
Oh, I don't know. Is it not just one thing? I think there was there's a few important contests that we were under the pump there a couple of times. They were able to get it out. So we got it out and we got beaten either in the air, and they got it back in a few repeats in the last quarter. And but then we had a couple of chances to win some real big 50-50 footy, and I thought we did well in those situations, and able to transfer the ball forward and get the ball out of defence and get in our front half and put the score on the board. So some really good efforts by a few of the boys. Yeah, it was terrific.
What do you make of the forward half pressure? I thought you guys were incredible in that match.
Yeah, look, our pressure's been good for the whole year, and I think we had 45 at half time, 45 tackles, and I don't know, we must have finished with 90 odd tackles or 100 tackles or something. But it was good to see for those parts of the game when we just played real fierce footy. When we stopped there, they were flicking the ball around a fair bit in that first term, and when we shut that down, and that peripheral play, when we shut that down and then started to really hook in that second quarter and play, wasn't flash footy, wasn't sexy footy, but except from my perspective, I thought it was absolutely beautiful footy. And so when we started really hooking in and belting in the contest and winning our 50-50 footy and just getting it forward, I thought that was pretty important. We went away from a little bit in the third term, but we went back to it in the last.
One of the early advantages that the Bulldogs had was Tim English in the ruck. What did you make of him, I guess, making that fiery start and then able to turn it around to get Joel Marty and Hayden Clean sort of?
Yeah, look, he was good early. Their mids were good all night. They did a number of us in the first quarter of the stoppages and the clearances, and they were able to get ground position, and then they were efficient scoring. So, it took a bit of work to nut that out, and quarter time we made some adjustments, which I think were important. But most of all, we just went back to winning the contest. English is a very good player, and we knew that going in, obviously. So. But I think that the longer the game went, the boys started to stuck at their task, which was good.
And as you said, English has had an outstanding season. Well, can you let us in on the decision, I guess, to leave Tom Hickey out and go with Joel Marty and Hayden Clean? Yeah, well, I mean, we wanted Joel we wanted Joel on the team. He played well against them last time, so we wanted Joel back in, and we wanted Hayden, who's done a pretty good job for us, and Lance and Logan. So there's just sort of the numbers just meant that Tom missed out tonight. So, if we put Tom in, one of those guys comes out, and it was a bit of a hard equation to put one of those guys out. So that's why we went.
You mentioned pre-game about Tommy Papley, about how he's had a few injuries throughout the year. He hasn't been training as much, but for him to go out not only on his birthday to put out a performance like that, that's what he can do, isn't it? Yeah,
it is. Look, he's had some challenges this year. He broke his ribs at the start of the year, and no one probably knew about it, and no one did know about it. And he sort of, that was lingering for quite a while. And then there was a number of other injuries that he's had that's meant that he hasn't been able to train, and so he's just had a tough year to try and physically to get up to be able to train to perform well. And obviously you go out there, and therefore there's no excuses. So we understand that, but sometimes there's a few reasons behind it. And tonight he was super. He really wanted to win, and he and Bud and a couple of those efforts in the last quarter, Isaac, those guys were fantastic.
A great performance by Tory McCartan. I thought really looking like he's back at home at this level, and what did you make of his, especially over the first quarter where North got sort of the best with a couple of contests.
Yeah, he first got the knock in round 4, so it's a solid amount of time that you don't train, and people sometimes forget. He's an important part of our defence, and there's a few of those guys missed big slabs of the year, and even coming back, it takes a bit of time to get your swing back and you get your judgment back and things like that. And you're playing a good player like Norton, who's played every game and fit and up and about, and you just that first quarter just took a little bit of time to get in the swing of it, but the longer the game went, the better he looked.
It is touching.
So, the broken ribs you mentioned with Tom, what stage of the year was that?
Oh, it was in the pre-season, so he just had a cracked rib, and just one of those things that players can have them and play with them, but it just means you can't train. You can't do any competitive training for weeks and weeks and weeks, and so your chances are, guess what, in the game you get a knock on it. So it always happens, and everyone's got to train in a contest to be able to practice your craft.
And John, what did it mean to you, the sort of reception that the boys gave you after the...
Oh, it's a bit of carry on, isn't it? Just I had a cake yesterday. That was a bit of carry on, and then I saw the big buffet on the big screen, so that was a bit. No, I'm sort of. I don't want to be flippant about it. I'm very lucky to work for a fantastic footy club, and those boys tonight. I've seen all their tapes as young kids coming through. From the youngest ones that we've just drafted right through to the oldest ones. From Errol, I've seen him play soccer at 6 years of age. So to be able to see all of their tapes all the way through before we recruit them, they then come into our footy club, see them come through, and in a lot of cases they get married and then sort of, they have kids and they go out the other side is quite unique. I've been very fortunate that I've been part of a lot of their journeys. So, I feel very privileged and honoured that I was a part of it for so long, for so many of them. And to see them tonight was a real thrill. It was pretty cool.